Hi, and welcome to another part of the R2D2 basic CAD. This one we're going to do body 2, which is the next iteration of what we did in lecture with the basic cylinder or body 1. Again, you can always go to Canvas and check out the CAD drawing files so you understand where these dimensions are coming from. In this tutorial, we're going to start with the basic cylinder and then just add some features to the bottom by extruding, making some extrude cuts, and then adding a chamfer to that feature we just created. So we're going to start with the R2D2 body 1, which we did in lecture. So you make sure you check out that video if you're not sure where to start. And the beginning of our drawing is we're going to change our view to look at the bottom of this part, go normal to it, and we're going to sketch a circle. So you can just sketch an arbitrary center circle anywhere you want, exit that sketch tool, and we're going to do a couple things. I'm going to click the outside circumference, hold down my shift key, and click the outside edge of my part. So I want these two entities selected, and I'm going to assign concentric and equal to them. And doing that, it'll automatically place that sketch on the bottom of my part. Then I will extrude that. So features, extrude base boss, and I'm going to extrude this sketch 5.5 millimeters, which will just lengthen the cylinder just a little bit. So there's another way to do this, and when I mean another way, there's another way to make that sketch. I'll just delete that extrusion that I just made, and again we'll go normal to it. I'm going to remove some of the planes that are making the cross section just so it's easier to see. The way you do this is just click the center circle tool, and you want to make sure your pen tool highlights over the origin. Click once, and then your second click should be on the edge of the cylinder. Those two methods to draw that sketch, you get the same results. So just knowing some of the nuances and ways around SolidWorks will make you a better drawer. So again, I've extruded that sketch. We've just lengthened the cylinder by 5.5 millimeters. We're going to go again normal to the bottom of that extrusion I just made and select center rectangle. The origin is what we want to anchor to, so my first click will be on the origin, which centers this, and I'm just going to arbitrarily click a size. I'll go to Smart Dimension, make the top 8.5 millimeters wide, and then the height of this 15 millimeters. I don't need to dimension anymore. And this is going to be an extrude cut. So click Features, Extrude Cut. If you know what this measurement is, you can do the blind direction and do 5.5 millimeters. So another way to do it is to select up to surface, and the pink area is asking us our surface or plane. And since we drew from the top plane, I'll select top plane. That will extrude cut only up to that surface. So again, you can extrude cut blind, that direction 5.5 millimeters, or extrude cut up to surface to the top plane. Both will accomplish the same thing. So again, we have more features that we want to add. So I'm going to go to the bottom view, normal to it, and I'm going to use the Sketch Center Rectangle tool. And I want to turn on a couple reference planes just to make sure that the center points of these are anchored along essentially the center axis of my cylinder. So you can see I get that intersection icon, the yellow one, and I'm just going to draw two arbitrary center rectangles over that center line through the cylinder. I'm going to hold down my shift key and click again on the top parts of these and make these lines equal to each other. I'm going to do the same thing with the sides of the rectangle, make those equal. So if I change one dimension, the other rectangle is going to match it. These are rectangular sketch properties by both of these objects. I'll go to Smart Dimension and I'll make one rectangle and dimension that to 15 millimeters. The other one is going to mirror that same property because we set both those lines equal to each other. And I'll do essentially the same thing on the side or the height of this, and that's going to be 30 millimeters. We have two rectangles equivalent to each other in size, and now we're just going to distance them from the center, and that's going to be on the left rectangle, the right line to the center point, and on the right rectangle, that'll be the center line to the left side, and both of that distance is going to be 10 millimeters. So now we have the size and the position of these, and these are the two sketches that we're going to use to do an extrude cut, just like we did before, and adds a little bit more feature and interest to the bottom of R2D2. So I'll select Features, Extrude Cut. I'm just going to rotate the camera so we can get a better view of what I'm doing. And again, like before, you could do the blind cut 5.5 millimeters, but we're going to do up to surface and select that surface or plane, which is top plane, which is the same distance of 5.5 millimeters. And I'll accept those changes. So now we have this bottom feature or bottom protrusion with a rectangular cutout and two rectangular sides. And next we're going to add a chamfer to it. So under the fillet in features, I'll select chamfer. I don't want to select the face in this scenario because it would chamfer that interior edges. So I'm going to select all 4 outside edges. So 2 straight edges and 2 of those curves. And again, you should have full preview enabled. And if you don't see your preview, it's because your chamfer properties exceed what's possible with your current geometry. So this chamfer distance is 5.5 millimeters. And the chamfer angle is like what we've been doing before, 30 degrees. You can either the buttons or type it in, and I'll accept those changes. And that completes the R2D2 Body 2. So make sure you save that as your Andrew ID R2D2 Body 2, because again, save this part file because we're going to have a mechanical drawing produced from it. And like before, you can use your feature tree and use the rollback feature to step through the features and parts that we created in our model. So that concludes the Body 2 for R2D2 Basic CAD.